Light's shining on me.
It is.
We've had a very, very busy month, and to start my report, we will talk about the finance meeting that we had of the finance committee right prior to this meeting, and we did talk about the deficit spending that the district is going to suffer this year, and how long that deficit spending is going to possibly last. What are we looking at right now this year? Our budget is about $500,000 to $600,000 in deficit spending in the red. We did have a healthy fund balance of about 24%, almost 25%. The deficit spending this year will bring that fund balance down to, I would say, around 21%. If we have another year of deficit spending, of course, that fund balance will be reduced again to about 17%. Now, there are a lot of factors that are unknown, and you all are tired of hearing me say this, that we don't know. Our revenue is very tenuous footing. We don't know about the pipeline. We don't know yet about the new construction in the district, what that's going to do to our valuation, how that will impact our tax rate ceiling. So, saying that, I did produce the budget with a relatively, I don't want to use the word pessimistic, but a cautious, with cautious ways of predicting what's going to happen to our district finances. It's very scary for me to think about doubling our payment for 10 years out, but it's also very scary for me to look down here and look at how many buses we have that are older than 10 years old. And I really feel that if there are cuts that need to be made at the district level, I don't think it should be in the area of transportation. I don't want to think about cutting anything, but I think that we absolutely do need to replace our buses that are over 15 years old. I wonder, Craig, you're looking at 10 years out, and I applaud that because we need to do some long-term planning. Are these agreements on 5-year cycles, for example? Do we agree to it again in 5 years and then again in 5 years after that?
We can. You know, it was just a plan that we did the 5-year deal, and it seemed like it worked out pretty good. By doing that, we didn't have to come up with, you know, it's $90,000 right off the bat per unit, and then you don't have to come up with that large of a chunk of money right then and there to do for a year. After the 5 years, let me get back to that. We look at it again. If there's 10 years down the road and we're in good shape, everything's low mileage, you know, technology's changed, it's up, and it might be a year that we could skip. I don't want to say that, but you know, there might be some times that everything is in good shape that we can miss a year or two until we get back on track.
Rather than looking at 5-year cycles, can we look at a 3-year cycle? I mean, or because I know sometimes you're losing money if you go shorter term.
I'd be more than happy to look at it, but I think the payment's going to be a little bit higher, a lot higher.
I know.
I've got a question. So we're getting 5 buses, and basically what we are talking about doing, we're just going to extend the lease payment we've been making. So it's just really a zero hit other than maybe the first year. And then each year we're going to purchase an additional bus, but that additional purchase isn't really tied to anything other than whether we want to do it or not. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, so if we deficit spend for 2 years and then we find out that, oh my, then, you know, it's always an option.
And I put that in there, the 83, because, you know, and honestly, to get back on track, that's what we need to do.
Yes, yes.
And I don't want to deter you and say that, you know, just take it out of there. I mean, that's a plan that we come up with. But if something should happen, I mean, we're making a $90,000 payment now, and it would be straight across the deal. But we got to look outside the box. You know, I need to replace the other ones too. So that's why I put that in there.
That's a good point, that if we enter into these lease agreements, it will be for the 90,000, which is approximately what we're paying now.
Correct.
The purchase of the new bus is an agreement on top of that,
Correct.
Year to year.
year to year.
And with that being said, on a, you know, like Mike called me up and said, hey, I've got 15 lease returns and we'll sell you one for $60,000. You know, and that, because I have run right out and, you know, I might have to travel to Florida or somewhere to get it, but for 60 grand, I'm gonna go get it.
You need to go buy it.
So if the board wants to vote on this, then would they be voting only on the lease? Or,
We have to make the lease, and I'm gonna make this clear, we'll be making the lease payment. The last one that we have on the 5 prior, and then we'll have to pay the first part of the lease payment. So it'd be
two lease payments, but that's on the year that we are not buying the new bus.
Correct.
Correct.
There's nothing contractual saying we have to purchase from this new vendors.
Yeah, we're approving that 178.5 right here.
But we would be paying double payment on the lease for 1 year.
Correct.